Welcome in, Warchant Game Day. We are live atop Hotel Indigo, Florida State, Miami. And while other rivalries may have maybe a more long-standing tradition, maybe over 100 meetings or there so, Florida State and Miami have played just 69 times. It is tough to find any rivalry, however, that matches the passion of Florida State and Miami and the intensity and the amount of pros and the amount of big moments in the last 50 years between these two teams. Last year, Florida State had their 3-game win streak over Miami snapped, and now away we go with an opportunity to get revenge, a chance for Florida State to become victorious yet again and right the ship, if you will, as the Noles fell just a week ago against Virginia. Miami is undefeated. They come into this game obviously feeling good about themselves with some big wins early in the season and a chance to stay undefeated in a path towards the ACC championship. But we'll concentrate on Florida State as we want to do and should do. In a moment, we'll be joined by Dominic Robinson, who is here to see his son Deuce Robinson today. And, of course, Dominic was a player in his own right here at Florida State, has played in this rivalry. So we'll ask him about that and what it means. It's been a pretty prolific last 24 hours in terms of being able to talk to players who played in this game, who have felt the heat in this game, have felt the intensity, and obviously the delirium from the fans and the noise that will affect the game tonight and what that's like. This is a perfect setting. Hotel Indigo, if you're in the area, you listen on your phone, if you're watching on YouTube, however you may be, you're tuning this in, feel free to stop by, come to the 7th floor, and you'll find us and a whole bunch of other Noles watching some of the other games that are going on right now, imbibing some of the cold drinks and cocktails here along with the very good food. So it's where we're at. It's Florida State, Miami, Tom. It's finally time. I can't wait. I'm tired of talking about it. It's the last hour that we're going to talk about it. I don't say that begrudgingly. I just say I'm ready to see some football.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm ready to see some football, too. I'm ready to see this game happen at Doak Campbell with two teams who are really good at the same time. Yeah, that's just something we've talked about it all week, but it's something I've never seen before since I got here in college. There were moments where they were, I know, it's nuts. That's weird. 20 years ago.
Weird to think about,
So they've both been ranked for this matchup. They've both been ranked preseason for a Labor Day matchup that we've seen at Doak Campbell Stadium. But even when it was a top 10 matchup 12 years ago right here, we knew what the outcome of that game was going to be, and it was going to be Florida State by a lot. Even the odds makers believed that it was going to be Florida State by a lot. This one could go a lot of different ways today, and it's only going to happen one time. If you played it 3-4 times in a row,
you might get a different result.
I think you'd see very different football games 4 times in a row. Hopefully the one that we get tonight is the one that counts, and Florida State is back in pace and within the bubble, if you will, for the playoff chase.
Yeah, to your point, the previous installments in this series over the years have had national title implications. These 27 times they've met where they've both been ranked in the AP top 25. This will be the first time that's happened since 2016.
Yeah.
So that speaks to your point. It's been a minute since both these teams were top 25 at the same time. You know, I grew up in an era, went to school in an era where that's all they were. It was always that way for much of it anyhow. And then Miami got on probation and they took a bunch of ass kickings at the hands of Florida State. It was beautiful. Those were headier times. But nonetheless, it's been a minute.
It has been. I mean, since I've been here in 2006, I'll do it quickly. Kirby Freeman, Jarman Fortson, Nigel Bradham's hit, the blowout in 2013, Dalvin Cook 2015, Third and Kelly 2017, awful team 2019, 4th and 14. You were in the stands for that game in 2021. And then in 23, they had the kid that was from the Panhandle playing quarterback, and unfortunately he got hurt in that game.
Arm looked like it snapped.
And we went obviously a perfect 12-0 that season. But so where's the juice? You know, you could go back to your days and say, well, I was here for 87, 89, 91, 93. And those are classics. I think we finally got our hands on a classic tonight.
Yeah, we'll see if it plays out that way. Obviously, I'd love this to be a rocking chair game for Florida State. It doesn't look like on paper, anyhow, that's the way it's going to be. Miami certainly has been tested. They have played Notre Dame. They've played South Florida, who's a good football team. We saw them last night, dominated another football game. And then Florida, who right now I think is ahead of Texas. So they've been battle-tested.
Wow.
So they've been battle-tested, and it's interesting to see how that will affect Florida State. But that said, Florida State has played Alabama and a road game against Virginia. They come back to Miami playing their first road game in what is going to be an insane atmosphere. And we do know, and I've said it all week long, it has a great effect on kids, on young men playing football, to be on the road under that pressure, under those lights. We'll see how they handle it. They've got a veteran quarterback, certainly, to be able to handle it. But Florida State tripped in their first opportunity to play on the road this year, and I thought they played uncharacteristically emotional early in that game.
Correct.
In a way that affected them negatively. Now, they gathered and they bounced back and they did some things that we can be proud of. But in the end, it really cost them to the point where they were in real trouble early in that game. And then ultimately, I think it's kind of what decided it. The 14-0 start for Virginia in the first quarter. You look at the rest of that game, Florida State really had the better of it.
Oh, they did have the better of it. And what they have in them, what you see against Alabama, is they went on a 24-0 run after Alabama's 9-minute opening drive. Against Virginia, they scored 21 straight points after being down 14-0. So they've got these little runs in them where they can take over games and play complementary football and be dominant. You're going to need a run or two like that tonight. 10 points in a row, 13, 14 points in a row. I think you're going to need that to set the pace, to get the game played at a tempo that is more comfortable for Florida State, more comfortable for what Gus Malzahn wants to do, versus the Miami tempo, which I think is much more about ball control, choking the life out of the game, grinding the defense down with runs straight ahead. 3rd and 3 is go for them probably in most situations. 2 plays to pick it up as long as they don't have a negative on 3rd down. It's a battle of tempos tonight, but if Florida State can go on those runs, you can force Miami to play faster than it wants to.
I started the week by pointing out the way Miami wants to play it. You're alluding to that now. Methodical, let the play clock run down, try to win physically with dominant offensive line play. They're very good on the other side too. Defensive line is good. They try to win games in the trenches as you know, that's the right way to build a team. Florida State tries to negate some of their weaknesses there, especially on offense, by playing fast. So you do have a clash in styles. There's no doubt about that. But really, dictating terms, it starts with whether or not Florida State is in the lead or even or within shouting distance. And it also starts with your ability to stop the run. I think all of us tonight will watch very early on, is this physical front, the 2 physical backs, is it something Florida State can slow down enough? They don't have to dominate. They don't have to be the team that plays a perfect half to win the game. But they got to get off the field a few times in that first half, give their defense a rest, and give their offense a chance to really light it up. Because so far, nobody has stopped this Florida State offense.
No, correct. And I think one of the impressive things about last week's rally in the second half was Virginia did control the ball for a lot in that half.
12-play drive and a 16-play drive.
It puts a lot of pressure on the offense, and they were able to, in those situations, answer the bell, especially in the 2-minute drill.
Yeah.
That Randy Pittman catch is something else. It would go down in Florida State lore had you won the football game. But, there's 4 critical players for Miami outside of the offensive line, which is going to be critical, of course. It's their 2 defensive ends, and it's their 2 running backs.
Yeah.
These are the 4 players that are going to tell a big story about whether they win or they lose today, and how does Florida State limit those players.
It's funny, too, Tom, because you would think in the offseason that conversation would have centered around solely Carson Beck. But Carson Beck is a good player. When he has time to throw the football, he makes plays. But in truth, they don't really run the offense through him, and they want to run the ball, period. They want to beat you up and then allow him to throw. He's got a lot of time. They can go off of play action there. That's kind of how they want to play. So you're right. The spotlight's not on Carson Beck. The spotlight's on Florida State's defensive line getting stops against Miami's offensive line and those 2 big backs.
When Beck is on the field, though, this is interesting. I know you think highly of him. Dominic is mediocre on him, and there was a breakdown to that effect. I'll grab him in a second. Y'all can have that discussion. But I find it fascinating, his thoughts on him, because he thinks – does a lot of the pre-snap stuff beautifully well.
He does.
But then once the snap happens, a little bit of inconsistency there.
Yeah, and this is why he is inconsistent and why people get frustrated with him, because I think Dominic, and we'll talk to him about it, I think he would agree that the physical tools are there.
Yeah.
Like, there are games where he makes NFL throws repeatedly.
100%.
And you go, well, you can't teach that. That's pretty difficult to have. If you got that in your arsenal, you just got to clean the other stuff up. That's what I mean when I'm high on him, just like the NFL is. The NFL loves the idea of the way he spins it. Well, he does some other things that they don't like, which is why he's playing at Miami this year instead of in the NFL. So that's the whole thing.
Or sticking in Georgia and making it hard for them to say no to him. That's the other thing. Yeah, he's late sometimes too. And that's if he's confused. If he sees it and he knows what he sees, it's out. Think Trevor Lawrence at Clemson.
Yeah.
Why is Trevor Lawrence, having struggles at the NFL level?
Trevor does this. He's this,
because it's not always what he sees pre-snap that happens after the snap is done. But if he sees it and he knows it, he lets it rip, and it's as beautiful as anybody in the league. And in college, it was that way for the entirety of his career. Same thing here for Beck. If you confuse him a little bit, he'll be late. And we have seen these defensive backs for the first time in forever at Florida State take advantage of those situations and jump routes and actually go get the football as they did last week with 2 interceptions.
Well, go grab Dominic, and I'll talk to him here in mere seconds, and we'll get his thoughts. Of course, Dominic, our go-to guy at warchant.com when we're breaking down the film. We bring him in His analysis is second to none. He's a coach still to this day. Obviously was a former player here and a guy that we love to talk to break down the film and to give us an explanation of why things are the way they are. So we'll go to him, find out, what he thinks, because really what I want to do is I want to find out what he thinks Tony White can do in order to offset some of the things that we saw against Virginia. I think a lot of people in this fan base feel a level of frustration by that, see it as a step back. I think it's a different challenge altogether, and I think it's a different game altogether as well. Dominic Robinson joins us right now here on the Warchant Game Day. Good, sir. How you doing, brother? You doing all right?
Phenomenal, man. It's
good to be back.
Rivalry Game Day.
So you played in this thing. Let's get an overview. I want you to break down the game, but I want to talk to you about playing in this rivalry. So you come over from California, 01 through 04, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And you go from DB to wide receiver. So you have all kinds of adjustments in your college career and adversity and things of that ilk. And anyhow, we all know your career. We know
some of the best Miami teams, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, you were on the wrong end 3 times out of the 4.
Legit
really
Miami
good teams. They were really good Miami teams.
Really good Miami teams.
Okay, so take us through what it's like to play in a game like this.
So the best way that I describe it, so often is I have respect for Miami.
Sure.
I do not for the other team. The other Florida.
The one in Gainesville.
Because we actually, a lot of my teammates were teammates with these guys. There's a lot of just mutual. We were trained together in the off season. We spent a lot of time together. It's a lot different than the Gainesville team. It
just is.
This week is different. You knew this week, and I'm not saying that you don't in a Florida week, but you knew this week, like, I got to bring my A game. I got to bring the best version of myself, because these are guys that we actually respect. We actually think they're good.
Well, you know what they're capable of, right?
We knew that they were capable of something, and I feel that even with this group. You look at what they have up front. They've got a first rounder up front, on the defensive line, and they've got 5 offensive linemen who are protecting, the quarterback as good as anybody in the country. Yeah. So it's one of those weeks where you definitely hate them. You just because you respect them doesn't mean you don't dislike them. You hate them plenty, but you certainly are like thinking, okay, I got to be strapped up. I got to be ready to go. This is not going to be any, light lifting. We're going to have to bring it. And to be honest, and my son said it in a press conference, you come to Florida State. I remember watching the 99 and 2000 Miami Florida State games. The 2001, I believe, was in the Orange Bowl. The 99 was Reggie Wayne and Santana Moss, I believe.
Pretty talented
for Miami.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, man, if I ever have a chance to be on the field.
And you did.
And then my 01 year, I got to be on the field with Andre Johnson.
He can play a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was a monster, too.
I'll never forget him lining up on kickoff team, actually. Mm-hmm. He was on the front line of kickoff team. This is the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
We're in the Orange Bowl in 2001. And I stood there and went, and at the time I'm a defensive back, and I went, if that's what receivers look like,
we got problems.
I'm not going to make it as a defensive back, because that was a horse of a man.
And he was that way in the NFL.
He was on the front line of kickoff, ready to take on the biggest, fastest guy running down, and with no hesitation, with no problem. And I thought, man, college football is going to be rough. College football is going to be a tough thing for me if I have to guard guys that look like that every week. And
but you didn't.
Fortunately,
not most people don't look like that.
Fortunately, they don't all look like that. He was one of few, and he's a Hall of Famer now. And,
kind of a freak. Yeah,
he
kind
was
of a freak.
But
I can see where you go. That can't be what we have to do every week.
No. It was early in my career, and I thought, this is impossible. There's no way I'm guarding that guy. He's a freaking horse. I mean, he looked like a fullback to me.
He's a monster.
Like, in my thought, that's what fullbacks look like. So, not wide receivers.
Quick question for you: do you get more nervous now as a dad watching your son than you ever did as a player?
No.
Really? Well, your son is a stud, but I'm just saying, it's got to be. I would be. It's tough. I think
it's really hard.
Are you analytical like a coach, or are you just emotional like a dad?
So
when you watch him play,
I try really hard to take off my coach hat
and just cheer
as much as I can.
Him.
I try to watch it as a fan, especially because he's now playing for my favorite team.
Sure.
When he was at SC, I did spend a little time thinking that maybe I could help from a coaching standpoint, that maybe I could hand him a pointer here or a pointer there. I'm such a fan of this university, of this program, that I really have to put that away.
Completely,
because it would just be so unhealthy. I would just be a wreck. If I was watching, as a coach and as a trainer and as a dad, I got to have one or the other. And so I try to put that side away. Honestly, I try to just watch and enjoy the fact that, again, I'm so thankful that my favorite player is now playing for my favorite team.
Oh, that's sweet, man. That's fantastic.
That's such a cool thing. It's my childhood team. It's the team that I grew up. The colors, the coach, the stadium, all of those things are something that I grew up dreaming that I could one day maybe be a part of. And that was just a dream to me. It wasn't a real thing. And now not only did I get to do it, which I feel like was enough, now I'm watching, my own flesh and blood, the person that I love more than anything on the planet, do the same thing and do it at an even better level, a higher level than I ever did it. It's hard to even put words to, how
it makes me smile ear to ear because I can hear it in your voice, but it's also, I'm a father. I know what you're talking about. Just like you want so much for your kids. So how cool is it? He's here and he's lighting it up and he's got a chance to play in this rivalry tonight. Now I'm going to make you put your coach hat on though. All right. Because here we go. Let's talk a little bit about what has to happen for Florida State to win. Because I know you've broken down the tape and Tom and I have had a lot of conversations about Carson Beck.
Yeah.
I like aspects of Carson Beck. You like aspects of Carson Beck. You don't like some other things. And I think you're going to talk to me about we can confuse him. Can we confuse him post-snap? Let's talk about that because that's where he's weak, right?
Okay.
I mean, we got it because I like the way he spins it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's weird that he's still in college because he spins it like a pro guy. But he has certain weaknesses in his game, which is why he's still playing college football.
Right.
Explain. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so when I watch him, there's physical aspects to his game that I think people have confused for generational, for special.
Oh, right, okay.
He's not that.
No.
And I have immense respect for him. I really do think he's a good player. He's definitely a good player. But he's not special. He's not generational. He's not something that we don't see in every draft cycle. We see this player every year.
Yep.
He deserves to be drafted. He deserves to play professional football. But there is nothing that this group defensively that he doesn't present any special, unique problems to this group defensively. Okay. There's not, when you play certain guys, there's certain guys where you go, listen, he's going to get X, Y, Z because he is special and we don't have anything to combat the problems that he presents. Carson Beck is not that. He's a very good player and the system around him is phenomenal. Right. They do a really good job with him. But there's nothing that he presents. And in terms of confusing him, it's not that it's hard to do, but they do a good job from a coordinator standpoint protecting him.
Okay.
Making sure that he doesn't make these decisions. Right. So the ball is getting out for the most part.
Quick.
If you look at, he's throwing, somewhere between 25 and 32, passes a game. 17 to 22 of them are getting out on time, on rhythm, without him having to do a whole lot. And then those other ones, he's doing a good job because he's protected incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
The guys up front, his offensive line and pass protection, it's got to be one of the top. I haven't looked at this. I don't know the numbers, but it's got to be one of the best in the country. Because I talked to Deuce earlier today, and I go, Deuce, they're an empty, and it looks like it's 7-man protection. There's 2 yards of gap between him and the next guy closest to him, and they're an empty protection, which all of us know, offensive coaches, when you get an empty, you're expecting a guy in your lap, and the ball's got to be out quick game. He's holding it back there and patting it 2 or 3 times.
So what does Tony White do? What do we do to combat that tonight?
I believe you have to confuse him, which is don't let him know when you're rushing 3 or 5. And I think you have to do one or the other. You either cover with 8 or you rush 5, but you put him in a situation where he thinks you're dropping 8 and you're rushing 5. And I think that's what Tony's going to do. I'm hoping. I haven't talked to Tony. I don't know this for a fact, but I am hoping, just knowing the conversations that I have had with him and just studying what he's done, I really think that is going to be his plan, is that he knows that 4 isn't going to be enough. 5 is the number, but you can't send 5 every time, because if you do, he's good enough that he will. There's too many gaps in the secondary to where he can pick it apart. So you just got to send. You send 3 when he doesn't expect it. You send 5 when he's expecting 3. And then you get him stuck in that. That's the confusing part, is like, but you can't rush 4. I'm telling you right now, if you rush 4 based off of the Virginia tape that I watched and the Carson Beck tape that I watched, you will absolutely get gashed in this game. You cannot rush 4. You don't have the horses to only rush 4. They're better than you. They're blocking with 5, and their 5 are really good. And if you rush 4, you're going to lose that battle, because Carson is good enough that he's going to have enough accuracy to where, your matchups in the secondary aren't advantageous.
So I'm listening carefully to what you're saying, and I'm reading between the lines, and you're telling me you want to play a bunch of coverage. You're telling me you want to drop 8 a lot.
I do. I think you drop 8 when he's expecting 5, and then you rush 5 when he's expecting you to drop 8. But I think early on you drop 8 and you make him beat you, because I don't think he's that guy. He's not the guy, a couple years ago when you have a guy that's coming out where you're like, hey, Trevor Lawrence, you drop 8. He's still he has the accuracy and the arm strength to still find those spaces. He's not the guy. Trevor Lawrence. He's not the generational guy that's going to find those spaces. I think he's going to be slightly behind that. And I think if you do that, he holds onto the ball a little bit longer. And I do think you do get some pressure, even rushing 3. And that will mess you up sort of mentally. I know me as a defensive coordinator, even my game last night, I played a inferior opponent, and I'm still rushing 5 at times where I probably don't need to, just because you think if you rush 3, you're not going to get there. Yeah. And I think you get there because you have coverage. And coverage can be pressure.
Makes him hold the ball.
Coverage can be pressure, and pressure can be coverage. And that's the way you got to look at it, is when I send 5, my pressure is going to be my coverage. Guys are going to be open, but we're going to have guys in his face. And when I send 3, my coverage is going to be my pressure. And you just you have to play that game. And it's and again, it's not an easy thing. It's easy for me to sit here, when I'm not doing it. It's going to be hard for Tony White, and that's why he gets paid what he gets paid, and I work for free.
But knowledge is knowledge either way. So I'm going to continue to pick your brain. And this is the last one I have for you before we go to break. I would be remiss, because a lot of people listening to this right now say, that's all well and good. Awesome breakdown, fun. How do we stop them from running the ball right down our...
Yeah. I don't have an answer.
I shouldn't have asked.
I don't have an answer. The reason why I say that, I watched the Virginia tape.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, I think, are better than Virginia up front.
Right.
And that was bad. It was just bad.
Okay.
There was no silver lining for me when I watched that. Tony said that some guys were misaligned.
Yeah.
And I hope that that's true. Because if they were aligned,
that ain't good.
They were getting gas.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's times where us as coordinators, we want to see it with rose-colored glasses because we want to have confidence in our guys, and we have to instill that in them. And so we'll dress something up, to make it look good, and hopefully that's not what he was doing, just to make us feel good in the media and us fans and us parents that are going to be at the game.
So do you stack? Like an obvious run?
I don't believe they are as skilled in the secondary as Miami should be skilled.
We're good. Yeah, we're good.
I don't believe they are as skilled in the secondary, in the skilled positions as Miami should be.
Right.
So, yes, you do. You play with one high, probably more than you like to, and you force, again, you say, hey, Carson, you got to go beat us, but I'm not going to give you the easy way out, which is if you can go 4 yards in a cloud of dust like Virginia did, that you're probably going to end up on the wrong side of it. That's that. And now, again, you go to the other side and you go, well, offensively, then we got to go shot for shot.
Yeah, shootout.
And, if we're going to do that, that's fine, too. I think we're going to see that type of battle in terms of, I think Gus and Cristobal are going to get into sort of a little pissing contest here.
Here we go.
Of, hey, who's got the bigger one, and who's going to go? And they're going to go at each other, and it's going to be a lot of, like I said, it's just going to be sort of a bludgeoning early on of like filling each other out, and then hopefully there's some shots to zero.
Yeah.
Mixed in there. We like that, right? and when that happens, it's like if you can connect on those. And Miami doesn't, because I don't think Miami has the skill that Florida State has from a wide receiver standpoint. And that's where you hopefully will gain the advantage. But I do think that early on it's going to be a lot of trading blows. It's going to kind of be a boxing match or a UFC match of kind of guys grappling, trying to figure it out like, hey, listen, I'm stronger than you. You're stronger than me. I'm stronger than you. You're stronger than me. Like, which one is it going to be? And I think Gus is an old stubborn mule, and I think he's going to stick to that run game until it breaks. And hopefully, again, like I said, hopefully he has a couple shots mixed in there to get the ball down the field to zero. Because I do like that matchup too. I don't think Miami's secondary is very strong, but I do think they're very good up front, and I think it's going to be a battle of their O-line and their D-line, which I think are their two strongest points, versus our O-line and our D-line.
Go be a dad, an alumnus, a Nole through and through. Go enjoy that game.
So
Thank
excited,
you.
man.
I appreciate
Go
you.
Noles. Let's go.
Dominic Robinson, kind enough to spend some time breaking down Florida State Miami here at Hotel Indigo. We appreciate it very, very much. And now, take a quick break, come back, and Tom and I will get into thoughts about scores, games. He's got me thinking over all the way right about now. We're at Hotel Indigo. Warchant Game Day continues in just a moment.
Hey, this is Jay Green from Hotel Indigo, Tallahassee. Can I stop and say thank you? Thank you for telling your guests to stay with us. Thank you for hosting your corporate meetings and social events in our rooftop meeting space. Thank you for hanging out with us on FSU football game days. Believe it or not, this sales guy isn't selling anything. I just want to say thank you. But if you've never seen our rooftop and I can ever help, give us a call, 850-755-9011. We are Hotel Indigo Tallahassee. Welcome to our neighborhood.
I got to tell you about my friends at Cornbread. It's an easy sell for Ben Johnson and coaches in general for these halftime interviews. Calm down, fellas. Settle down. I know you're stressed. You don't take it out on sideline reporters. Get a grip. If you've tried everything under the sun to try to find peace of mind, then it's time for you to try perhaps cornbread hemp CBD gummies. If the other stuff's not working for you, I think this will. It's a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort. It's formulated to work with your body, not against it. CBD gummies are made to help you feel better. All products, third-party tested, lab tested, USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. That's a good thing. Right now, Jeff Cameron Show listeners, you can save 30% on your first order. 30% is a lot of savings, if I do say so myself. Head to cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code warchant at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Remember to use the code warchant to save 30% off Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies. And away we go. We're welcome back, everybody. Hotel Indigo. Warchant Game Day continues right now. Saying hello to Chris Ricks, who's watching right now. He said to say hello to his old teammate, Dominic Robinson. We did, and go Noles. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
That is right. You saw the 4th and 14 here 4 years ago, and they're the two halves of 4th and 14 way back in 2003.
True story about 4th and 14 down in Gainesville. I was at current baseball play-by-play announcer Eric Llewellyn's house for that game. He was having a party for Florida State, Florida. And we were all down in the dumps. It looked like we were dead in the water, the whole thing. And Chris makes that throw that Dominic, it's obviously the precursor to the PK Sam throw that he makes. But what blew me away is that throw is a laser, first of all, Chris. That was a laser. Yeah, and Dominic makes that catch. And so you have life. And now you kind of sit up. And the room was crowded. It was nuts. Eric still laughs about this. So then we hit the PK Sam play for the touchdown, and I lifted, if you can believe this, true story, he laughs to this day. I picked Eric Llewellyn up. Now, Eric Llewellyn, a former offensive lineman here at Florida State, is a very big man. So you know the kind of adrenaline that I had to have to pick up Eric Llewellyn.
Yeah, like a mother saving a child under a car.
Yeah, you know? I see that throw, I see that catch, and I pick Eric up, and I'm like, yeah, we're screaming, and I scared his dogs. And I remember Eric said, look, man, my dogs are running out of the other room. I'm like, they'll be all right. And we were jumping around celebrating. It was a room full of people. It was great. But what a special night that was, and a special moment that Dominic Robinson had. And just to make that play, you know, it's funny with Dominic. Dominic's career was an interesting one because he did come here as a defensive back.
Yeah, he did everything. He was a punt returner too.
Yeah, and he came here, but here's the thing: he was a highly touted defensive back, and so I remember early on the radio, and this is a hard part of the job, being critical of Dominic and saying that he was kind of a bust at corner. He was not the corner I thought he was going to be, and that a lot of people thought he was going to be in recruiting. And then he went to the other side of the football, and all the credit in the world to him for being willing to switch positions, being willing to do that, and then making a career here at Florida State that he could be proud of. And, obviously gotten to know him now over the years. He's just such a nice guy. And I have respect for anybody that puts the uniform on and goes out there and goes to war. It's so hard. So even when I'm critical, I have respect for the guys that are out there doing it.
It's fun to see because the breakdowns that he's done the last couple of years here have been very clinical. Very clinical, and he is very good at taking the fan hat off.
Today, he's emotional.
Well, and you know what? He's had a couple of appearances this year because his son plays for the team, that the energy comes from. It goes to a different place. Like, now I can understand how he coaches his players. Because that's the energy that you would have as a coordinator. When he was doing the breakdowns, I'm like, he's a coordinator. I wonder how does he do it? How does he muster up the energy? You see the energy today. That's what Miami does. Obviously, that's what being a dad and watching your son run through the tunnel does. He said the thing that makes him the most emotional, there's a photo from a few weeks back where Deuce is leading they do the walk before the game, the unity walk, but he's the one that's holding up the helmet, and there's a shot of his son holding the helmet. The team's walking towards him. And he said, I have a hard time looking at that photo.
No, and his son is not just a player, he's a star.
Yeah.
And he's got a chance again to solidify his ranking amongst the Florida State faithful today. We'll see. I mean, he's just a mismatch against anybody he's facing. I don't care if you're an elite corner or not. You're going against 6'6". If he gets these one-on-one opportunities, it is very difficult to stop Deuce Robinson. So we'll see what kind of day he has today. We'll see how Miami deploys their defense.
Well, his day job is he's a performance athletics coach. So he's working with very, very good athletes. And so he knows down to the granular level that Deuce can run a 4.47 40. That's what he's at right now, working very hard to be more explosive to try to get to 21 miles an hour top speed. He has not done that yet, and Florida State tracks all that information. But all that to say, if Miami, which it does at times, plays press, I would. That's
throw it
an
up.
automatic. That's an automatic for me.
Yeah, it's to throw it up.
And it's the same thing. Miami also does this a bunch in the red zone. We haven't necessarily talked about this, but in the red zone, they love to sell out between the tackles. Like they will crash on read options. They're selling out. They're all in. They know that their back's up against the wall.
Absolutely.
But what that means is that their corners are on islands. It's much like watching our Sunday team when Mike Evans is in one-on-one, and you understand at the snap, whether it was Winston or Brady or Glennon or Mayfield, it's an auto. You're throwing to him. I think if we get in the red zone and we got 1st and goal from the 7 or the 6 yard line, you're going to see an automatic throw to Deuce today, and we'll see if it's well located, because that's one thing that Tommy did very well last week.
Let's get to those, because I realize now we only have 15 minutes left in the show, and we've yet to help out with those in the contributions and kind enough to support what it is we do.
A large one, 100 American from Carter. Thank you, Carter. We very much appreciate it. F Miami, FF Miami. Let's go Noles. Spells
Carter.
Out. Florida State, Florida State, Florida State.
Well done, Carter. There
Thank
it
you.
is. There
Thank
it
you.
is. There it is. Yeah, we appreciate that very, very much.
100 Proof Football, always a very good caller in the postgame show. Muck Fiami.
Yeah.
Muck Fiami. That's a nice way to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the real way of saying it. Yeah, and who do they pay for to get by? And who do they pay to get by this far on offense and defense? Cheeks, I don't know what that means. I apologize. We'll talk to you in the postgame show. 100 Proof, we appreciate the
I hope
contribution.
he's maintaining. I'm worried about the Cat 5 there with him.
Thomas with 2 contributions, the second of which has a comment. It says, it's time to recognize Jimbo and what he did for this program. Forgive and move on. He loves this university, and that's speaking to the interview that Jimbo did yesterday outside the stadium and then ACC huddle. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, well, I always said this. I said in due time what would happen with the Jimbo Fisher story at Florida State is that he would come back and the fans would welcome him back at some point. There's no getting around his accomplishments as a coach here. They won a national championship. They won 29 straight games. He took it at the end of the Bowden era as he came in as OC, then became head coach in waiting, hit the ground running in his recruiting efforts, understood what was at stake, and turned this program back into a national power. I also want to point out that it was a very important accomplishment, not because we wanted it as alumni, boosters, fans, and supporters of Florida State athletics. We needed it because it solidified that Florida State could be great without Bobby Bowden. And Bobby Bowden, the legend himself, and a man who deserves all the credit that he always gets, rightfully so. Some people would have been able to make an argument had Jimbo not been able to do what he did and Florida State not gone on to have great seasons after Bobby Bowden was gone. Some people would have said, well, you lucked into a legend. You lucked into a legend, and he came at the right time, and he knew what to do.
The other openings didn't line up, so he stayed.
It all worked out for you,
yeah.
And that's just who you are, and good for you, but that's just who you are. No, that's not who Florida State is. That is a foundation of who Florida State is, and it certainly means the world to us, our tradition, our history, and all the successes that he had. But somebody else has done it, and oh, by the way, this guy's had an undefeated season too. So it's not as if we didn't see that Florida State could continue to be great without somebody, without Bobby Bowden. And that's Jimbo's biggest accomplishment, I think, here in doing that. Now, look, that ended ugly. I won't engage in revisionist history and pretend that it didn't. Yeah. But I am willing to certainly accept and understand that people change. And I do think that Jimbo Fisher, I'll tell you what I think was on display when the tears flowed. I don't think that was him reminiscing about 87 or being a little kid at Bobby Bowden's camp. I think it was the recognition that things should have ended differently. And I think it was the recognition that it's a great place to be. Right. It's a damn fine place to be. And I think he realizes in a way and has some regrets that it ended the way that it did. That said, hey, it was cool to see. I appreciate that. That's always been in there. Not everybody got to see that. I have. But that has always been in there. The other side has been too, a Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing with him.
Literally.
But he's a guy that I think is genuine in this. I think he loves the tradition here, and I think he loves the place. I mean, this is an incredible place to be. So, yeah, that's my comments on Jimbo and what that this weekend has been.
Well, you have to imagine at some point he had the thought, either on a car ride or on the plane home from Texas to come back and live here full time. The resources were a little strapped here. I had everything I needed at A&M. Why did it not work?
Yeah,
and you think about the place matters too, and I hope
obviously,
But there has been, I think, in some phases of this reconciliation period with Jimbo, there's been the history of Florida State according to Jimbo, which I kind of bristle at a little bit. But he also loves this day. He was always on it this day every single year.
Yeah, and if we're just talking about the game itself, his ability to coach up Florida State against his rivals, unquestioned.
Yeah,
he dominated Miami and Florida. And he did a great job against Miami. Every time we faced him with Jimbo was at the helm. So, yeah, he does get credit for that. No, I think he recognized, look, if this place was so cash-strapped and the facilities were so bad, how the hell did you win 29 straight? Anyhow, so back to this. The game at hand, we good on questions?
Yep, we're good.
It's interesting. Dominic made me a little bit nervous because he started talking about no answer for the run game. And we all know, I mean, sometimes we can overanalyze football. Sometimes it is as simple as, are you physically tough enough to make plays in the trenches at the line of scrimmage where it matters in the run game? And, they did it against Alabama. So I cannot tell you that they won't do it tonight. I am worried about it, because obviously the Virginia game exposed some things that have us all a little bit nervous about the ability to stop the run tonight. I do think there are two different equations. Part of the problem against Virginia was really worrying about where that quarterback was going to be and what he was going to do. He was going to change the math. He's a willing runner. He's an athletic kid. He's 25 years old. He has seen everything. He took the opportunity to gash us when he could because he understood the game at that level and because he had those kinds of wheels and athleticism. And Carson Beck ain't going nowhere. He's sitting in the pocket wanting to throw the football. He's got, some athleticism. He's not a complete statue, but he is not a big-time runner. He's not a guy they're going to design runs for. He's not a guy that really wants to take off and run at all, especially not post-injury.
No, if things break down and let's say you forget to account for them or you get out of your lane, it's a gain of 6 before you get there. Last week, it's a gain of 22.
Or he could be gone.
Right, or the kid could be gone.
Yeah,
it's a humongous difference, which means, yes, your principles, your rules are going to be very different tonight. You can attack more. You can play more aggressive. You can crash more. All of those things. And it felt like before the game started against Virginia, as Tony White was speaking about Virginia, this is the day after the Kent State game. He was worried about Virginia's offense.
He was.
He was bothered by it.
He was, yeah. He was
there are no surprises here. The thing that they do exceptionally well is protect. And Dominic was talking about it. Sometimes it looks like they've got a 7-man protection when they're in empty. Well, a lot of times they'll be an empty. You'll see the 2 wings, the 2 tight ends. Mm-hmm. They'll leave them into chip and then release. So you do get a start of a play with 7 when they're in empty, and it turns into, essentially 6 or 5.5 by the time they both release. But they'll pay special attention if they feel like they need to. They'll do it with the backs as well, but they do a very, very good job, even when it looks like that they're going to be an empty and you've got an opportunity to bring a pressure from the perimeter or pressure from the slot. They're going to leave those tight ends to chip, and that gives you an extra tick, an extra half a second, which is all Carson Beck really needs.
So on to the game and on to our thoughts on the game and what we think this is going to look like. I think we both all week long were leaning towards a more high-scoring game.
Yeah.
Sometimes we play this game called What's the Race To? And you pick a number and you say, like, okay, look, in order to win this game, you have to score this many points. That's it. That's all. Full stop. You're going to have to in order to win the game. I said earlier in the week I thought it was 30. And
you going up?
I may go to 34. I'm a little concerned. Listening to Dominic has me concerned slightly. And listen, I like that he shoots you straight. I could see this being one of these all-time classics. I could see this being a game that all of us in the fourth quarter, a few hours from right now, are going to be very, very, very nervous in. And not in a bad way, in a classic all-time great way. It's tied at 31 with 3 minutes to play.
This
is going down to the wire. You kind of sense this could be that kind of game.
There are times in those moments, and you'll be in the stands. I'm assuming you're doing the roof. What are you doing today?
I'm doing the roof at the press box, yeah.
So if you're around somebody in those moments, all right, here's a 3rd down. Everything depends on it, and they call a timeout.
And you have
and
time
it goes
to
TV
soak
break,
it in.
And then you look at your compatriot, you exhale, you go, oh, man.
Can you believe this?
And you see the red guy come out and it says 2.5 minutes. You're like, God almighty, this is going to be a long wait because what happens next? What are you going to see? I think, yes, you're right. It absolutely has a chance to be just like that today. 100 Proof did come back to clarify what he was saying with another contribution. Thank you, 100 Proof.
Thank you, 100 Proof.
I tried to say, who did Miami pay to get a bye for this offense and defense? Because they do have a bye week. We did get the extra day.
We did.
But here's the thing. This is a talking point from the Virginia game. Coach Henshaw brought it up this week on Warchant.com. In the NFL, what they cared about the most after a bye week was poor tackling.
Yeah, they worry about it.
That's something to watch for Miami today. And
two big factors. That is something to watch, but also first road game.
Yeah.
Communication, the integrity of your communication gets affected greatly on the road at night, 7:30 in a place like this that's going to be unhinged. And they have not had to deal with any of that at all. They've been playing at home. First of all, nobody goes to their games to begin with. And then secondly, obviously when they're on offense, they're not having to worry about much. So this will be very, very different, the environment, to see how they handle that noise.
One thing I will say, you asked Dominic about run pressures. I think you do it. I think you bring 5 a lot. I think you bring 6 a lot. I think you bring run pressures. You know why? It's the same thing you were talking about. Here's what Virginia should do last week. Play for more possessions. That was your thought about stopping the Florida State offense. So what? I love my offense. Go for broke. Try and stop the run. But why not do that here? If Miami scores, so what? Gus wants to play with more possessions anyway.
Well, that was my thought, too. I didn't want to get into an argument with Dominic about this. But honestly, especially if you find out early that they're running the ball.
And against your neutral front.
Then you got to say, okay, well, that can't continue to happen. Because now they're going to possess, and now they're going to hold on to it, and we're never going to see the ball. And our best attribute as a team right now is this offense. Let it be known, nobody has stopped Florida State from scoring. So now I know 2 of those are teams that weren't equipped to, but Alabama didn't stop Florida State from scoring. Virginia certainly didn't last week. They had over 500 yards of offense, 38 points in that game. Look, nobody has stopped this offense yet. I want the ball in our hands as many times as possible.
Yeah,
Miami does not want this to be a possession game of 74 snaps, 75 snaps for Florida State's offense, but Gus does. So I'm going to take some chances in the hope that I get a couple big plays. And I'm bringing a lot of folks. I've told you I'm going to trust these corners. Now, something Dominic said that I agree with, which is why I want to put my corners on an island in this game, is I don't think Miami's receivers are special.
Right.
I think they're good, but I don't think they're special.
I think Tony's got a chance. I would love to see him with Jabril more often than not if you're going to be on islands. I think he's got a chance. And what Beck is very good at doing in those situations, if he does have the time, right? So if he does get the time, he'll just throw to a spot and let the guy run underneath it. That is a nuance that he has that not a lot of quarterbacks do. Sometimes quarterbacks, they look at a point on a map and they're going to hit the point on the map come hell or high water. For Carson, what you saw, especially in that Notre Dame game, is Notre Dame was isolated in man coverage a few times, especially in that first half when they were breaking off the rust, is Tony's got inside leverage. I'm just going to throw to a spot, and he'll get there because he's fast as hell. So that's the thing to watch for in that situation. But again, so what if that happens? If you tell me that we have to play at a higher possession count, we're going to give up more points, but we get 2 turnovers in this game, so be it. Just like last week.
That's the risk I'm playing. By the way, so Carson Beck has only been pressured 17 times in total so far this year. If you look at the gambling angle, I'll give you this really quickly. All the sharps are betting the over tonight. They all think
so. They think they're going to play at our tempo.
They think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Florida State's offense under Castellanos is averaging 7.4 yards per play. That's the 4th best in the country. They don't believe Miami's going to get nearly as many stops against this offense as they have against the previous opponents, USF, Florida, and Notre Dame. So they see us as scoring whatever they see us as scoring as, and they think that their offensive line is going to protect Carson Beck, which means they think Miami's going to score, which means we're getting to 34, 31, 38, 34 territory.
Yeah, the whole key is how do you get around Miami's defensive line, excuse me. Well, it is the truth the other way as well, but how do you get past Bain? How do you get past Mesidor? Because if you do, you're in business. Those linebackers, I don't think coverage-wise are special. I don't think their secondary is special either. They can make some plays here and there, but it's not like their defensive ends. Those guys are different. Those are different. And when Florida was having success in the second half of that game, it was 13-7, and now they're starting to move the ball. That long drive that they had where they scored their first touchdown, they started to run the ball on the perimeter a little bit more, toss pitches and things like that. We kind of live out there anyway. I just don't know that you want to run outside zone at Bain. You know what I mean? Like you stay away from him.
You don't want to do that. No.
You run towards Mesidor. If you're going to run traditionally, and you got defensive end that you're going to attack, you attack the defensive end that wears number 3. And not number 4, because number 4 is an unreal football player. But if you can get by that initial wave, that's the whole key. That's why he's paid a lot of money. If Gus can do that, you're going to be in some good matchups against linebackers and safeties.
So let's do a prediction here. Final score, do we want to go that route? We haven't done a final score yet this year.
No, just the report. Okay, you say the race is to what, 34?
34. I'm leaning towards 34 now.
I don't disagree. I could go as high as 38, but I'm not trying to play the,
the winning number for Florida State to get to tonight is 34, is what we're going to say.
I think so.
Okay. And do you think this is I'll end it this way. Lowest points we can hold Miami to, in your estimation, given what they are and talent they have, what this defense lacks, fewest points we'll hold them to tonight. You think
the best we could do is what you're saying?
Best we could do against Miami.
Best I can do.
Yeah.
21.
Your number and my number is the same. Best case scenario is Florida State 34, Miami 21. That's our pick.
Well, that's what's going to be.
We're just going to pick the best case scenario on both sides of the ball,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're going to win a game 34-21.
Yeah, you can generate turnovers against this group.
Right.
Buddy, if you go for broke against the run, it can look totally different than Virginia. They weren't going for broke. And then by the time they were in a fight, they were like, oh, God, we're in a fight. This is going to have a completely different energy to it. Does it mean the result is going to be decidedly in Florida State's favor? I don't know. But what I'm saying is when you look at that front six, that front seven tonight, depending upon how many guys they bring up and attack the run with, it's going to look very, very different than Virginia. It's going to look a lot more like Alabama. They might still hit some plays, but they're going to hit out there. That's going to be a fun watch in that regard.
As we get set to sign off and move along, I'll give you guys updates if you're listening right now. Top 25 scores. UCLA is just pounding James Franklin and Penn State 27-7. So the fraud that is Penn State continues. Florida 19, Texas 7. That game going to the fourth quarter. Florida or the third quarter, excuse me.
Poor Matthew. He's on that Texas channel.
Well,
that's going to be a bad postgame show.
They need a better quarterback. Vanderbilt and Alabama are tied at 14 at the half in Tuscaloosa, so 14-14 there. Notre Dame out in front in the third quarter of Boise State, 14-7. Good game, as we thought it might be, between Virginia and Louisville. That game's tied at 14 at halftime. Oklahoma winning comfortably today against Kent State. We knew they would. They're up 20-0. And Georgia houses Kentucky. Mark Stoops is in a little bit of trouble. 35-14 there. Cincinnati wins 38-30 against Iowa State.
I was wondering why that spread was 1.5 or 2.
Now you know. Michigan was pedestrian in their win against Wisconsin, which cost yours a bet. 24-10 there. Illinois wins comfortably over Purdue. And finally, last night, BYU beat West Virginia 38-24. That's a look at your top 25. More games tonight, obviously, including our game. For everybody at Hotel Indigo and everybody at Warchant, including Todd Lang, Dominic Robinson, myself, and thanks to all of you for watching, listening to this. It's been a good time. Go Noles. We'll talk to you on Monday post-game with Tom and Gene about 15 minutes after. 4 o'clock in the morning, Tom will be up doing the post-game with Gene Williams. He's that kind of warrior.
If we win, this is going 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, you best believe.
So join them, get your calls in, and get your shot glasses ready. Take care, everybody. Go Noles.